And welcome to No Something Required podcast, a podcast where we talk about nothing. And today you've got the duo of hosts, starting with Romina with the good hair, beaming in from the Star Trek Enterprise, and of course your Dark Lord of the Interwebs, reporting from his man cave, Roberto Blake. Welcome to No Something Required podcast, filmed in front of a live YouTube audience. Please like, subscribe, and review.
Do all of the things. Woo!
Indeed. So yeah, you guys are gonna notice that it's going to always kind of maybe rotate between whether there's three of us or some combination of two of us or a guest or whatever. Because right now we were mad consistent for 2 years during the pandemic, but now we've all got a lot of things going on. I wrote a book. I'm writing a second book. Romina's writing a book. Audrey has got mad editing stuff going on with YouTube as well as travel. We all just hella busy. That's what's been going on. So we apologize for being inconsistent after over 2 years of being consistent.
I love that you throw that in there. Like, hey guys, we can do this because we have a track record of being consistent.
We did something no podcast does. We got to over 100 episodes. So I'm like, what do you want?
But what do you want?
We're at like episode 130. How many podcasts?
Yeah, 130. I mean,
Yeah.
how many podcasts do that on their
None.
own time with no sponsors?
No sponsors, no monetization, no nothing. Just like,
No nothing.
Goodwill.
Goodwill.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome. I am not a cat.
Yep. Welcome. And yeah, and the other thing is we haven't tried hard to grow the podcast. We've been doing this largely for fun and to hang out with each other. We did this as like a way to stay in touch with each other after the pandemic started, and also after you and Audrey moved out of Atlanta, because again, we used to just meet up every week, every other week, and do work and eat lunch and hang out and chill. We used to all it was us and it was Jay. We used to do that for a long time, and then you guys moved away, and then right after you guys moved, the pandemic happened.
Yeah, Audrey and I broke the universe.
Yep.
Basically,
It's your fault.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as saying it's our fault.
I blame you. Y'all ushered in the karma that brought us the pandemic by abandoning me after I moved to Atlanta. So yeah.
Well, sorry that we left you, Roberto, but things had to be done.
Yeah, it's all good. Life. I'm being facetious, but
Gross.
no, you guys moved on to bigger and better things and brighter futures. I couldn't be happier for you. But it's like, yeah, it also is. I haven't really made a lot of because of the pandemic. I haven't made a ton of local friends to hang out with otherwise since you guys left, believe it or not. It's just I've been a homebody because of the pandemic. So now if it's not events, I don't see humans.
Just straight up no humans involved.
That hermit life, you know. That hermit life is also why your boy is still pretty much single, but yeah.
I mean, look, I won't blame you. It's Atlanta's kind of a tough town to make friends and connections in general, outside of the pandemic. It's just kind of people kind of stick to their own, and for some reason people think that, driving like more than 20 minutes is super far. So it's hard for people to do anything.
Well, with the way that people drive in Atlanta, I actually don't blame them on the driving more than 20 minutes bit, to be honest.
Actually.
Yeah. Facts. So there is that part of it. And then the thing is, in terms of meeting people socially and stuff like that, I mean, if you're like me and you are not the people who love going clubbing every weekend. So it's not, and that's what the social scene and nightlife scene here is. It's like, you got to be super into the clubbing thing. You got to be super into the entertainment culture or the hip hop culture. And I'm like, okay, none of that really sounds so appealing to me. So it's a little rough. It's actually pretty hard.
Yeah, but they're out there. I mean, Atlanta's got a creative community,
That's true.
in general. I mean, there's a lot of dance happening there, a lot of artists like painters and,
Yep.
also the film industry as well. So
I've got to
there's
go to like some art and wine things. I got to look at more stuff in Eventbrite.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's like, there is at least there's also a little bit of like the nerd community with the cosplay stuff.
Mhm.
So that's actually useful in some ways too, to do that. And so, yeah, I mean, there's things I could look at now that we live in a mostly post-pandemic world. There's stuff to look forward to. But I think also speaking of like a somewhat of a post-pandemic world, um, what do you think of tonight's topic? What do you think about my boy Elon going again back to us like this little like quarrel, this little spat with AOC, everybody's favorite? And what do you think about this $8 for like Twitter Blue thing and Elon taking over? It's like, I mean, I'm sure you have thoughts about this. We've talked about Elon many times in the program. Friend of the show,
I have thoughts. He's
friend of the
a
show,
friend by association.
friend of the show, Elon Musk, like richest man in the world.
Um, all right. I think first of all, I'm going to rewind for a sec.
Right.
So Elon acquired Twitter,
Yep.
and there is a proposed um subscription for people
Mhm.
to be verified,
Among other
amongst
things.
other things.
Yep. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Um, Twitter Blue reminds me of like YouTube Premium used to be called YouTube Red. I actually liked it better. It was called YouTube Red, but I understand that YouTube Premium is more.
I like the YouTube Red too. It made
Yeah.
it seem like a thing that was unique to YouTube.
Yeah. YouTube
But
Premium just sounds more corporate. I'm like, I liked YouTube
yeah,
Red.
it's a little boring. Actually, you know what? I actually do have something that I want to riff off of for a second, because
Mhm.
it's something that is hurting me right now, which is Netflix. So Netflix, I have a Netflix account,
Mhm.
and I have had a Netflix account since they
DVD
were
days.
DVDs. And so I was used to paying something like $4 a month at one point. Um, and now I am paying $20 a month. So something that is interesting is that very recently they said that they wanted to charge people for having profiles. So charge per profile on your account. So for example, if you have a family, um, and there are 4 different people in your family, then you have to pay per profile.
I thought that was already the point of
Right, right,
having.
right. Okay, okay. So that's where I'm getting. So I currently share my account with a group of people, and we all share our accounts. We have multiple accounts and various profiles on different streaming platforms. And so I share my Netflix account. And in that, the reason that I pay the $20 is because so that I can play on different screens. So I can
Mhm.
stream on different screens.
Yeah.
And so that was my original the reason why I have that the most expensive plan is
Yeah.
because that's what they were selling
Hey,
is,
this is the
"Hey,
everything plan.
right, this is we can play on, like, 5 different screens at once, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." And I was like, "Okay, all right, so that's why I'm paying for more." Today, I decided to look at my account, and they've changed it, so the plans don't look like that anymore. I'm not paying for extra screens. What I'm paying for now is for ultra HD and 4K.
Yeah, who cares? I mean, that's why I think YouTube was thinking about charging for.
So, I actually downgraded to 1080p
Yeah,
because
because screw that. Yeah, who cares?
who cares? But also the lowest tier that they have now is 720. So literally, like, you can pay for streaming just to, like, play something at 720p.
That's a little rough. I can't do 720. I'm
And I'm
sorry.
like,
Nah, nah, my boy.
right. Anyway, so they've removed the whole screen structure, so it's not about screens anymore, so that in a few months they'll probably implement the whole profile thing. And it's at that point that I will take it personally and
Oh, they gonna
cancel
lose
my account.
they gonna lose customers over that. I think that they already were like,
Yeah.
trying to find some version of cracking down on people just sharing Netflix passwords and accounts and things like that. You already know they were doing crackdown on that.
Yeah.
And they lost a bunch of revenue, but them losing revenue is their own fault. Go woke, go broke. That was their own fault. They weren't listening to their customers. Anyone who betrays their customers. Look, I'm tired of I'll just say it. I'm tired of corporations and their goddamn politics at this point. I'm like, we don't need you to be moral absolutionists. We don't need you to take stands. We need you to go back to being greedy, evil, faceless organizations, just like when we loved you all and we didn't believe that you cared about us or cared about anything and that you only wanted our money. I want to go back to the good old days and everything. Make Scrooge great again. Go back to the good old days when evil corporations were evil corporations and we paid them anyway because the utility of what they offered was enough to put up with their greed and with knowing they don't give a crap about any of us. Let's go back to the good old days of when they weren't pretending. Because now all they do is pretend to care about us. And Dude, I'm like, no, let's go back. Let's go back to when. Let's just make corporations great again, and go back to the greed and the corporate profits and not pretending to care about me. I miss that because when I had that, I had better customer service. I had better customer service when you didn't pretend to care.
Right. Which is ironic. Michael's, I think, also just realized the whole Netflix situation. Yeah, like I had no idea that they had changed the plan. So if you are on Netflix, then you should definitely check your plans because what I was paying for before, I was paying the highest tier so that I could have more screens. But now what I'm paying for is 4K and UHD, which I don't think I can even play UHD. I don't have any screens for that. And really playing a 4K video on my 14-inch MacBook is stupid. So, double check, make sure that you weren't paying for something that you weren't intending on paying for. But
exactly. And I'm not a cat. I didn't go. I know you're joking.
No, that's not what he did. He went.
I'm not joking.
No.
I'm not joking. I don't think I went full MAGA. I think I just went like full customer, like full on customer. I think I just went full old guy, honestly. I'm almost 40. I'm just an old guy at this point. I'm just like, get off my lawn, kids. Get off my lawn. I'm like, at this point, I'm just old man Roberto. And old man Roberto remembers when it's like corporations didn't pretend to pander and to care about us. They just they were good customer service.
Mm-hmm.
There's good customer service. Here's your products. Here's our price. We don't care. It's just a transaction. I miss having a transactional relationship with corporations. I don't like them, of all people, moralizing to me and telling me what makes me a good person. Just be a greedy corporation and be transactional with me. Let's get this, like, I give you money, you give me things. Let's just keep this relationship transactional and keep it casual. I don't need it be more personal than this. That's all I'm saying. That's all I want.
It brings up a really good point because the thing is too that they're never going to make anybody happy.
No,
right? Not like everybody at the same time. There's just no way that everybody's going to be happy. So
unless you just go back to being neutral and just being a transaction where give me my iPhone and don't tell me how to live my life.
Instead of trying to make people happy, they should just focus on making good products.
Yes. Thank you. Because then the thing is, and that's what we should judge them on. We should judge corporations on their utility, not their moral, ethical state, because all they're going to do is lie to us. All they're going to do is lie and pearl clutch. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. If if corporations convince you that they care about any of these causes, they're just lying to you. That's marketing. I'm a guy who worked in advertising. It's just marketing. You really think the people who care about you are the same people running the ad that says and everything like that? Our product may cause internal brain hemorrhaging, organ failure, and could result in death upon use. Please make sure that you consult your physician. Like, you really think the corporations have to have that kind of disclaimer really care about you? Like, come on. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. Like, they don't care. They never did. And it's fine. I don't need them to care. What I need them to care about is customer service. What I need them to care about is making great products. What I need them to care about is my wallet, my value, my dollar, my price, and everything like that. But if they lie to you and convince you that they have some moral stance, then they can like do magician's choice and say, oh, we're so good. We're so this and that. And then they screw you over in the actual product delivery, but you won't abandon them because you feel, oh, they're on your side. It's stupid.
Nah, I don't believe in being loyal to a brand.
Yeah. It's like just give me good products and services. Because the thing is, I don't have to publicly support you to keep paying you. I don't have to publicly support anything you do as a company to say, like, a company can have a scandal tomorrow. I'm going to be like, if they're still the best product in the world for me, I don't care. Because the thing is, everyone can publicly disavow them. Everyone can publicly shame them. And the thing is, if they're the best thing for what I need, for the dollar, for my price, for me or my family, I'm going to still just go out and support them with my wallet and not say a damn thing on Twitter. And if I don't like what a company's doing, I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to rile people up on Twitter for attention. I don't need the attention that badly. I don't need the attention of telling private, hey, look at me. I'm taking a moral crusade against this company. No, I'll just stop buying from them. I'll just stop buying from them. That's my business. I don't need to do that. The only people who need to do that for attention are people who are obsessed with attention and people who are obsessed with like getting attention for their moral virtue signaling instead of the utility of how good they are, how funny they are, how good they are at their job, how smart they are. I'm like, no, I only need y'all to care about how smart or nerdy or funny I am, and me as a just me as an individual. I only need you guys to care about my personality and my utility. I don't really need you to agree with anything that I believe in. I just need you to care about my personality, like me as a human or not, and my utility, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't need you to be like, oh, Roberto is such a good, righteous person. It's like, no. I'd rather you actually are 100% convinced that I'm a Dark Lord of the Sith and vote for me anyway. I actually need all of you to believe that I'm a Dark Lord of the Sith, believe that I'm an agent of the dark side of the Force, that I have a red lightsaber in tow all the time. And then when I decide to become Supreme Chancellor, I'm going to need you to vote for me anyway because I'll do a good job.
Yo, actually, though, is that going to be on your campaign?
Like, yeah, it's like,
is that like your slogan?
Let what make the dark side great again? Vote for me anyway.
Vote for me anyway because I'm going to do a good
Lord
job.
you can trust.
Like, a Sith Lord you can trust.
Vote for Darth Roberto, a Sith Lord you can trust. Yeah, and I'm like, look, I'm a man of my word. I swear that the Jedi will be hunted down and defeated. Like, I'm a man of my word. The rebellion will be crushed, and young Skywalker will be one of us. Soon the rebellion will be crushed, and young Skywalker will be one of us. Your work is finished, my friend. Like, no, it's literally Palpatine. Yeah, it's like,
you should do the audiobook for your book, but in that voice.
The voice of it.
Yeah, it's the whole thing.
Yeah, create something awesome. How creators are profiting from their passion, the creator economy. Written by Roberto Blake, narrated by Emperor Palpatine. Welcome, young creator, to this book. I hope you will find the information that is stored within to be beneficial. If you follow the guidance provided by Roberto, you will become more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Now we will go on a journey and see if you can become a great content creator. Yeah. Boom.
Look, actually, like, no joke, Roberto, you should do like the first minute or something like that just to tweet it, you know what I'm saying, and like put it on Instagram, like just as like a promo thing to get people to just listen to it and just be like, oh yeah, here it is, and then like an asterisk, like, you know, the actual book is just narrated by normie Roberto. Dude, that would be a great little like marketing stint. You could just like do it, and you know, you just record the 1 minute of it, whatever, 30 seconds. It's a commercial.
Yes, this book will provide you with unlimited power. But actually, I had this idea. I still might do it because I recorded them already. I've recorded 30 days of dark side motivation in the voice of Emperor Palpatine, sitting in my phone. Save my photos. 30 days of dark side motivation.
Wow. And what are you gonna? How are you gonna distribute this?
I have not decided what to do with this yet. I probably literally could just tweet but
just get it out there.
But I've like literally decided that I have it. I have literally 30 episodes of like 2 minute or less recordings where I just motivational quotes, with the twist being my voice being Emperor Palpatine and them all being dark side quotes. It's amazing. It's like, I mean, it's like, let me see if there's a way like play one for you. It's oh my god.
Yeah, play us one.
Let me see. Let's see what I can do.
Honestly, guys, sometimes you just have to like do stuff even if you don't know where, how you're going to execute or where it's going to go.
All right, let me find this. This one I think is 13 seconds should be good.
Individual commitment to a collective effort. That is what makes a team work. That is what makes a society work. That is what makes a civilization work.
There you go. Palpatine motivation. It's like Palpatine's about the teamwork. The Emperor is about the teamwork.
Palpatine is about the teamwork.
Yeah. It's like teamwork makes the dark side dream work.
Speaking of teamwork, shall we jump into Elon joining the team?
Deciding to lead the team. Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
So like Elon bought Twitter. Okay, great. That went through. Like, because people were on they were like, it's like, oh, how dare he try to buy Twitter? And then they were like, oh, don't back out now. Ha ha ha. And then it's like, and now they're still mad that it's like, make up your mind. So that's weird. That's pretty like weird. All right. So now he's got Twitter. Now here's the thing. In general, because like now the thing is there's this Twitter tax on Twitter elites, right? Because by the way, anyone who's verified on Twitter and can't afford $8 a month to keep their verification shouldn't be on Twitter. I know that's a hot take, but hear me out. Like $8 might be a lot of money to a normie. But even if it is, if you can't afford $8 a month to be on Twitter, maybe Twitter's not the most productive use of your time. And that's not to say, oh, you think that Twitter and social media should only be for rich people. I'm like, no, I'm just thinking about the time savings, the time suck, the life energy. It's like, okay, these platforms are monetizing you. If you're not paying, you are the product. We've all agreed that that's the case. If you're not paying, you're the product. So they're harvesting your data. They're harvesting your energy. They're harvesting your mind and your headspace. It's like, why can't you put into perspective that if you have the status of because who gets to be verified on Twitter? You get to be verified on Twitter if you're a public figure. You get to be verified on Twitter if you're a journalist. You get to be verified if you can prove that you're an activist with ties to a legitimate nonprofit organization. And you get to do it if you are a member of city government, state government, or federal government. So quite literally, you either have to have money, status, or power. You are an elite, and that's why it's coveted. Now, it's supposed to exist for the utility of saying that because you have money, status, or power, that there is an impact if you were to be impersonated. That's the point. If your verification in any platform is supposed to come down to, here are the list of bad things that happen if someone legitimately impersonates you and people fall for it. There are consequences to the person who falls for it. There's consequences to the organization you represent, and there's consequences that are legitimate in potential harm or damages to you and your personal brand and reputation if impersonated. And the thing is, the qualifier is if the average working class person were to be impersonated, usually they're not at a level within their organization to where that would impact the company, or they would be verified if they could prove that. If it's a regular working class person, they usually don't have, they're not political ramifications for them that for that happening. A normal working class person, most people don't want to impersonate them and get no value out of impersonating because there's no ability to extract value or to create harm and chaos at scale beyond just to the individual. So the impact and implications of impersonating a regular 9-to-5 working class person are very minimal to non-existent.
Yeah.
They're more vulnerable to being hacked than they are to being impersonated. So that's a big part of it. The other thing is, so that's what verification status, the utility of verification status is supposed to be. What's become is a status symbol because of what I just said, means that you have weight and therefore you are quote unquote an elite. And it's also a vetting mechanism for other elites to say, oh, if you slide in my DMs, you're someone who matters. That's what it's become in all these platforms. I say that also as someone who's recently been verified in Instagram. Mm-hmm. And I understand what, like I've been explaining to people, here's what impersonation means. there's an impact if you're impersonated. The impact if I'm impersonated, one, I'm tied to and represent multiple brands through my association with my sponsorship and brand deals and being an advisor and an ambassador for those things. The other thing is my audience is vulnerable to someone impersonating me and doing crypto scams, and that would cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like why?
Yeah.
Well, because I'm someone who already sells their time and their products and their services for hundreds of dollars to do a consult with me. So the thing is, I'm at a price point to where the implications of pretending to be me, even if it's not a crypto scam, just pretending that you're selling my product or selling my coaching time, that would scam someone out of hundreds of dollars. So there's a consequence, you see. So that's why verification matters. And the thing is, for elites to sit there and to say, well, I'm not going to pay $8. I'm not going to pay the Twitter tax. And if my audience, is not stupid, they'll figure out who I am. Like, that's kind of disingenuous of elites to pretend that there's some moral stance in not paying an $8 Twitter tax, because I guarantee you that if a leftist billionaire that they agreed with owned Twitter, they wouldn't care. If they still liked Elon when they just viewed him as climate warrior, Prince Elon, like Prince Elon, climate warrior extraordinaire, when they only viewed him in that lens, because they used to like Elon. When Elon was just a big donor to the left side of the aisle, when Elon was climate change, when it was all that, when they were like, if they could have convinced, if Elon would just say, hey, I'm pro union. Yeah, guys, start a union. Fine. If he would just say, yeah, I agree with a union. Yeah, I hate Trump. If he would just literally capitulate to 5 things, they'd never have a bad word to say about him. They'd never have a bad word to say about him, because there are people worse than Elon that agree with them on their 5 demands that they will never write a bad word of press about.
Yeah. I think that, so in terms of the amount of when the deal went through, the amount of people on my feed that were like, I'm going to delete my Twitter tomorrow. Good luck with that.
You mean like all those artists who said they were going to leave Spotify if Joe Rogan stays, who then quietly came crawling back?
Right, exactly. To me, is like, so Christopher brought a pretty good point talking about people acting like Twitter is going to be a hellscape now because of the buyout, and asking, when was it ever a safe haven?
I've been on Twitter since 2009. It was always toxic.
I mean, I'll tell you that I think the last time that Twitter was a safe haven was maybe in 2008.
Yeah. I've been on Twitter this whole time. It's always been because back then when it was super, super anonymous and there weren't any verified accounts, and it was just a bunch of a lot of goofy it was just like being on forums back then. It was just about as toxic as Reddit was. It was that's always been that way. That's why all these YouTube influencers are all canceled for their tweets back in 2012 when they were all teenagers, because all Twitter has been edgy emo kids on the internet and grumpy old farts and a bunch of nerdy pricks. It's always been that. And then it became mainstream, and then normies got caught in the crossfire of not realizing, look, the internet has always been a bunch of toxic nerds. It always has been that way for the most part. Yes, there's the artsy intellectual corner of people being polite, and that's fine, but that was corners of the internet. But a lot of the internet, because of the anonymous nature of it, has always been toxic. I'm saying that somebody's been on the internet since 1996, 1997, back in AOL 6.0. Y'all
wow, you really had to bring it back. You had to bring it back that far?
Yeah, everyone here knows that Yahoo chats and BB forums and all this stuff and IRC chats and everything like that and AOL AIM and stuff. Everyone knows how toxic that was. We're going to sit there and pretend that the internet has always been this bastion of safe spaces and intellectualism and kindness. It was never that. The entire internet has always been a flame war. It's always been a flame war. It's always been a hellscape.
I mean, that's why they didn't want to make the internet public. I mean, that's why they didn't want the majority of people to get on the internet, because they knew that it was going to be chaotic.
Yeah.
And it was.
It was chaotic evil.
It was always chaotic from the beginning. It's just that there weren't enough people and enough people publicly talking about how chaotic it was. The media was not talking about it, and they didn't take it as seriously.
Ironically, I think mainstreaming it made it like somewhat lawful evil. It went from chaotic evil to like lawful evil. You know,
Yeah, I think like one of the biggest things about Twitter is I talked about this earlier today. Um I've been on Twitter since 2007. And when I joined, it was a very small community, and I've been able to see Twitter grow into this massive platform, but also provide so many opportunities. And for myself personally, I've had work, I've had connection, I've had relationships, I've had friendships, I've had collaborations, salaried
I think
jobs,
that's how we
speaking
first met.
opportunities. And yeah, and that is, to me, has been so incredibly valuable from a platform that I have put absolutely $0 into. So it's a completely free platform that I have gotten exponential value from it. So even if I started to pay now monthly,
So it's
I
worth
feel
it.
like it would take years to pay back all the value that I've sucked out of Twitter for the last over a decade.
Yeah. I agree 100%. And I think $8 for what you get is nothing. People got to remember, it's not just about verification that, oh, you mean everyone who pays $8 will instantly verified? No, you will still have to confirm you are the person you say you are. You will still have to confirm that you are the human being that you say you are. And the thing is, I think that what will happen, in my opinion, is a lot of people will try to get verified, and therefore they'll pay the money, which Twitter wants because yay, money, revenue. But what it also will do is increase the number of people that end up being verified, bona fide humans, and we can normalize that. And the thing is, that's not the only thing they're offering. They may even close down the verification part of it one day and just say, okay, grandfather people in, because they change things and move goalposts all the time, just like Netflix moved the goalpost on what you pay for. The thing is that you'll pay and you'll get half the ads, which I'm like, can I pay can I give you more than $8 and have 0 ads, just like YouTube Premium, like YouTube Red was? Like, can I? Because I will pay more for no ads, Twitter ad free. I'll pay $15 a month. I don't care. Give it to me. I'll do it. Like, so there is that. Also, there is I'm fine with a pay to play for enhanced organic reach. They're not saying for sure that they're gonna throttle the organic reach of regular users. At least I hope not. But if I could pay a small fee for more organic reach, it then makes Twitter better than Facebook, because Facebook used to be, marketers loved Facebook. Now we're all about LinkedIn and Twitter, but we used to love Facebook. There used to be no better organic reach in the world than Facebook. And then they changed that in, like, I want to say 2013, 2014. And now Facebook, you can't reach it, no matter how big you are. You can't reach anybody if you don't pay to play, unless you're like uploading like short form or viral type hit stuff or whatever, but you can't normally reach people. You can't promote, like the old YouTubers, no one knows this, Romina, all the OG YouTubers, they used to grow because they used to post links to their YouTube videos to Facebook and used to get all this organic traffic they would never get and get discovered. And that's how a lot of them blew up to their first 100K. And no one talks about that, but it's true. And you can do the research on that. All the OG greats used to do that, right? Yeah. And that was a whole thing. It was the easiest YouTube hack back in the olden days before 2014 put the kibosh on that. So there was this whole thing, right? And now, because of organic reach and virality is the only reason anyone uses TikTok. If TikTok took away virality, no one would care about it. Everyone's culture. No, it's attention. It's like, if TikTok didn't turn on the attention hose, and if they like weren't, I believe, allegedly, I believe, inflating their numbers, then no one would care. No one would care. That's the only reason anyone makes vertical short form videos is, oh, I want viral views. Oh, I want more views. Oh, I'm not getting stuff posting regular YouTube videos, whatever. It's the only reason. No one cares. Like, culture my ass. It's fine. Whatever. So the thing is, what I think is that if you pay to be Twitter Blue, you're paying to be an elite, you pay the Twitter tax. Because, by the way, they're not charging regular users for their tweets. They're asking people who are essentially, quote unquote, well-to-do, if not rich people, well-to-do, if not rich people, hey, pay $8 to make Twitter better. Pay your fair share, top 0.1% of Twitter users. So I find it ironic that, of all people, AOC and a lot of her compatriots are the ones attacking Elon over literally charging the elite members of Twitter society a Twitter tax to maintain their status. Isn't that what they keep asking for? Literally, you could take every Bernie Sanders AOC tweet, turn it into Twitter users should pay their fair share, and it tracks with what Elon's saying at this point. So why is it that it's okay to say that the 0.1% of all societies to subsidize all these free things for Americans, but not say the top 0.1% of Twitter should subsidize a better platform for everybody? I'm okay as a Twitter elite paying my $8 a month. If I can get no ads, I'll pay $16 a month. I'll pay $20 a month. That's fine with me. I won't notice it, especially not for the utility that I'm getting, and especially not with them wanting to compete with YouTube for content creators. Elon's announced that he wants to bring back Vine. He wants to pay content creators. He wants to monetize content creators.
Yeah.
We're hearing things like 50-50 revenue split on advertising. I'm good. Let's go. I'll make $8 a month. I'll make my money back just by posting my YouTube content to Twitter or whatever. Let's go. I'm down.
Yeah.
Pay the Twitter tax.
Yes, someone, Christopher, here it is. Christopher said, it's interesting you mention enhanced organic reach because Twitter doing this reminds me of how people pay for LinkedIn Premium.
I pay for LinkedIn Premium.
How much is that?
Oh, God. I think I pay like $18 a month or something for.
Really? What do you get from LinkedIn Premium? Do you even know?
For one thing, I get access to LinkedIn Learning. So that means instead of having to, so I get all those things. So it's almost like having a Skillshare.
Right.
So that's one thing. I also get more in-mail messages, which means if I wanted to do outreach to someone that exists outside of my network, I can reach more of those people.
Got it.
So it helps with networking and discoverability on that level. It's a good option. And for LinkedIn as a creator, I actually sometimes use this to say, I need to reach out to a contact at a brand that I don't currently have and be able to get in touch with somebody. So that means that I get to DM or message somebody that works at a company at a brand, and then I can use that when I say, okay, I want a brand deal with this company. Let me go ahead and find who's in the marketing department. Okay, I can message them now in a way where I couldn't do that if they're not a second tier connection. So if they're not a second tier connection, I can't do that. And to Michael's point, I can also see who views my profile, which makes it better for me for prospecting, saying, oh, you paying attention to me? Well, what are you about? Maybe I should reach out to you. Oh, I see who's creeping on me. Oh, that's somebody with money creeping on me. Let me reach out to them. Like, so that's some of the value of LinkedIn Premium. I'm fine with Twitter having a tiered model that lets me go a little bit further and have these things and everything like that. Because right now there's no real utility to Twitter Blue aside from like being able to bookmark folders, have bookmark folders. That's like the only, and like, oh, you get to get behind the paywall of a few articles when journalists want you to. Okay, like that's not really a good reason to pay $3 a month for Twitter Blue. Oh, and I can semi have a not an edit button, but an undo tweet button. Okay, fine. That's not like that's not great for $3 a month, but $8 a month saying I get reduced ads and enhanced reach. And hey, if you have a check mark, you keep it. Okay, cool. If you don't have a check mark, we'll finally let you apply for a check mark. Because what they're not saying is that, oh, $8, you get $8 a month and you get a check mark. Because everyone's argument is, oh, the scammers and the spammers are going to have a field day with this. It's like, they're going to have to verify who there are in their accounts, which means they don't get bot accounts. They can't just buy all these bot accounts because they're going to have to tie it to a government ID, my homie. Do you really think someone running a crypto scam wants to tie themselves to an ID and end up like Jay Mazzani, who just like pleaded guilty? CoffeeZilla is having a field day with this, by the way. Like, but
yeah.
So I'm like, no, y'all are being disingenuous if you think that this is a boon to scammers. And here's my thing. Just make every damn platform do what all the finance platforms, all the crypto platforms do. You have to know your customer. And if you don't want to verify with your ID, you get a limited account and you don't get shit. Make everybody verify their Twitter account with a human ID in the first place. You don't necessarily have to give them a verified badge, but you can give them some other badge that says that they're a confirmed user. You can have them be confirmed and make everybody that verifies. So we all know that there's no catfishing and that people are who they claim to be and that they've submitted their ID to Twitter. And then all of us will stop interacting with people who refuse to put an ID and be accountable, because we'll know that everybody that has, instead of a blue check mark, give everybody who's not like a quote unquote elite, somebody who's not with a company, a corporation, a public figure, give humans, give confirmed users, make a confirmed user badge. And maybe what that does is it puts a little green check mark button to say that they're confirmed. And there's a difference between confirmed and verified. Confirmed is green, verified is blue. That way now you know that you're talking to a real human being who's verified with a government ID, and they are who they say they are, and they're not catfishing you and any of that nonsense. They're not a scammer, and that if they do fraud or scams, they can be held accountable by the platform, and that they're not a bot, And then guess what? Twitter users will then do what they do with the elites who have a blue check mark. They'll engage with people who are verified humans more than they do with non-verified humans. So
the check marks aren't blue anymore.
Well, what are they now?
They're white.
Okay, well, okay, fine.
I think they do that because of the contrast to make it accessible.
No, for accessibility. Okay, great. But if they do a contrast thing to where there's where it has a readable value, but it's like a green check that just says you're confirmed as you're a confirmed user.
Yeah.
You're just a confirmed user. If you can confirm that I know who this user is, you'll interact with people who are like, okay, they have a confirmed identity. Cool. If you know that there are people on Twitter, and you know that there are 3 classes of people on Twitter. They're the verified elites, and there are confirmed users, and then there are unconfirmed users. You'll never trust or interact with an unconfirmed user who hasn't submitted their ID, which keeps you safe, by the way. We all just ignore those people. If you don't want to, you can exist on the platform, you can have tweets, you can have your speech, but we'll all psychologically just stop taking you seriously if you're not a confirmed human. And that's the best thing that could probably happen. And I think that the government, if anything, should step in and regulate one specific thing. There's 2 things I think the government should step in and regulate. Make all platforms confirm their users and limit their functionality and limit their reach if they refuse to confirm. You want to say, well, no, I don't think I want to be able to use a platform and be completely anonymous, completely private. Fine, you're throttled. You will never reach more than a certain amount of people. And that means no more bots, no more scams, no more phishing, no more fake news. Because if you refuse to confirm your identity, be held accountable by the platform, and know that they can stop you from spinning up another fake account, and all of your accounts have to be tied to your government ID. If you refuse to do that, then you should have limited features and limited reach, and you should never be allowed to go viral, because then you're never allowed to spread information you can't be held accountable for. That should satisfy the left and the right and every one of us normal folk in between that don't give a crap. It should satisfy everybody, because then you'll say, I know I'm not being scammed. I know I'm not being catfished. I know that someone can't just spin up another account just like that if they do the wrong things. I know that reporting them actually has meaningful consequences for their future. Everyone knows they're held accountable, and everybody knows what the deal is, and everybody knows that the game is up. And if that's the case, and all the platforms do that, most of the problems you have go away. If there's not anonymity, if you limit the reach of people who are anonymous to say you get the bare minimum, then they're going to realize there's not a value to their anonymity. And so that's going to be great. It's going to be great. Because, by the way, you can't operate in real society with anonymity and have any power. You can't be anonymous in the physical world and have any kind of power. Not really.
Unless it's the metaverse.
Sure. Be whoever you want in the metaverse. That's a great value proposition for Zuck.
Christopher, I think it was Christopher, brought up something earlier regarding Vine. I don't know. I mean, there's a small group of people who are very excited about the possibility of a Vine revival, but I don't really see that happening. I mean, they already tried to do Vine 2.0, and that kind of just dissolved into thin air.
A different company tried to do that, and I think, or like, here's
No,
the
it was
thing.
like an official thing. Like they were like, "Oh, Vine 2.0, it's coming."
They
And then
floated it.
like
It
it
fizzled
didn't.
because the company had all this internal infighting. It fizzled. It's like, I think you can do Vine 2.0, but I think that Vine 2.0 can't just be a TikTok competitor. I think if you do Vine
Yeah.
2.0, you have to try to actually be a YouTube spinoff.
Competitor. Mm.
I wouldn't say competitor as much as spin. I think you have to be the YouTube of.
Mhm.
I think Rumble could be the YouTube of if they wanted to as well. I
Mhm.
don't think Rumble should go head to head with YouTube. I think Rumble should try to absorb people who got left out of the ability to grow on YouTube and on Twitch in certain categories. Because I think what TikTok did successfully is
Mhm.
TikTok made people who are like, oh, I missed out or I'm not good enough to be a YouTuber. It made them relevant. It made them relevant. And it's like, oh, I don't have to sit here and edit hours and hours and hours and hours of video. I can just use my phone. It made YouTube feel it made the same attention that people were seeking on YouTube accessible to a less tech savvy, younger creator with less ability to put in time. It made internet quote unquote fame accessible. It made the idea of anybody can be viral is the only reason TikTok exists, is the idea that anybody can be viral. I think that what Vine could do and where Vine could step in
Mm.
is Vine could be the Vine 2.0, I think, could be the YouTube of um beginning content creators, in the sense of, if what they did was how YouTube used to be, to where they let everybody be monetized who wants to be monetized. And the difference is, I think the other reason you can get rid of bots is, what if Twitter let you post whatever you like, whatever you're going to post, up to, wait for it, what if they let you post videos up to 4 minutes and 20 seconds on Twitter? They let you post videos up to 4 minutes and 20 seconds on Twitter. And you can do it horizontal or vertical. You can do it, horizontal or vertical.
Yeah.
And what if they let everybody be monetized from day one on the condition that, yeah, you can only be monetized if you give your government ID and your tax information, which is what you have to do to pay people anyway. Because then I think a lot more users become, we get rid of the bots, because people are, all right, now your account is tied to your government ID and your tax information, which is either your LLC or your
Yeah.
social security number. So now we know exactly who you are. So now there are obviously consequences
Well,
for
don't
you.
we do that already if we want to get paid?
Yes, but the thing is, if Twitter lets everybody monetize without having to get a certain follower count, like YouTube used to. Remember, YouTube,
Right.
everybody could see. YouTube didn't used to have this as many of these problems, because, like, oh, you to some extent, like, it had problems, but to some extent, it was
Mhm.
easier to enforce some of the problems from a monetization standpoint, because everyone wanted monetization, so everyone turned that on. Even
Mhm.
the people doing bad things turned that on, which made it actually, in a way, easier to hold people accountable. Now that there are people who are like, I'm not going to get monetized anyway, so I'll just do whatever, they just keep spinning up accounts, you see?
Right.
But if Twitter has no barrier to monetization in terms of
Mhm.
follower counts, everyone will want to sign up for it. And if
Yeah.
everyone signs up for it, whether they realize it or not, they're confirming their identity. No more bots. And then you'll have quality content on Twitter, and some of it will be
Well, that's
unique.
assuming people are making videos, right?
Well, they'll try to, because they'll want to get paid.
Right.
And maybe you don't just let making videos on Twitter/Vine be the only way they get paid. Live
Mhm.
streaming gets you paid. Okay, so that's another route people can go. Twitter Spaces, if they run a banner ad under Twitter Spaces, they could technically pay you for that. It'd be very little, but they could pay you. Instead of
Mhm.
just paywalling your Twitter space, you could have an ad, a visual ad, not an audio ad, not a video ad, just a banner ad run under your Twitter space, or a text ad, and they could just pay you for those.
Right.
So I think if you just monetize people on Twitter, people are
You'll
inherently,
incentivize them to not be anonymous, essentially.
exactly. If you are paying people for content,
Yeah, but
because
super followers is not it's
subscription base is not enough of an incentive.
it's not, because your incentive there is that you activate super followers, and until you have super followers, you aren't creating content for those
And
super
you have to have an
followers.
audience that's not a bunch of brokies. So that means that you're relying on your audience. Most
Yeah.
people do not have the courage to say, oh, I have an audience that'll pay me for stuff. And most people are cowards. They don't want to charge people for something, especially on Twitter, especially with how much Twitter wants to be socialist in terms of the culture. Not Twitter, the company, but the culture.
For the people.
So but guess what? Those people, the reason that those people all love to go to YouTube and get monetized is because now they can make money off of getting attention, and they can still wave their flag of, oh, I never sell anything. Oh, I have nothing to sell you. They can virtue signal, I have nothing to sell you to their heart's content, and still get rich off of someone else monetizing their audience by throwing ads at them. And then say, hey, it's not me, it's the system. And they can just throw up their hands. So I believe that the monetization incentivizes good behavior, because it inherently incentivizes a participation in capitalism, which then to some extent hold then you know who holds you accountable in that? Then the advertisers and the audience hold you accountable. Yeah. So that's a mechanism to where it's like, oh, I ain't messing with my money. You'll stop being chaotic evil very quickly when you lose money. So there's that. A lot of people, dangerous people, love lists and everything like that. It's like you either look, if you don't believe that if you don't believe the governments of the world already have you on some kind of list and that you're truly anonymous and everything like that, then they've successfully scammed you into thinking that you're safe. Congratulations on that one. So that's number one. Two, if you use any type of physical device and you are participating on the internet, if you don't live in a can like Brill in The Enemy of the State, my friend, they have you on a list. It doesn't matter at this point. It doesn't matter at this point. So I wouldn't worry about that. I'm not that worried about that. List. I'm not worried about that. If you have a bank account, they have you. It doesn't matter. Look at how they shut down people for the opinions they don't like. You'll lose your PayPal. You'll use your Uber. You'll use your Airbnb. It won't stop at kicking you off social media. It'll be everything they kick you off of, including apps that have nothing to do with your public opinion. They're just supposed to be purely utility. And the payment processors own you. The payment processors own you. The payment processors decide who gets to have free speech. And who are they beholden to? Right. So again, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that. In fact, I would love for some moderates or libertarians to build 5 new payment processors and give people real options, because I don't like what PayPal did and PayPal sponsored me, and I don't like what they did with the $2,500 fine for misinformation. They can screw off with that. That's nonsense. Who are they to govern people in that way? And who are they to shut down entire businesses trying to do? And what they've been doing is sus. I have a friend who was a Pokemon YouTuber, and he changed one thing on his account, and they shut him down for 72 hours and wanted him to submit all this stuff and submit tax forms and all this nonsense to restore his account just because he added another email address. And I think that's just part of their sweeping whole, hey, we're going to start really leaning into, well, who are you guys? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah on the payment side. So, I mean, no. So, but by the way, so if all these payment processors want to get all our tax forms, want to monitor our free speech, then guess what? All these social media platforms should have to know who their customer is. If you're going to hold some people accountable, let's hold everyone accountable. Let's hold everyone accountable then. And by holding everyone accountable, everybody's on a list then. Everybody's on a list. Fine. Everybody's on a list. Fine. You got to come for all of us. You got to hold everybody to the same standard. Fine. Put everybody on a list.
There's another point in the chat too, that police showing up because people were donating on GoFundMe to the protests
that's
that were
ridiculous.
Happening. And that is if you've ever donated on Kickstarter or GoFundMe or Indiegogo
to people who've never committed a crime that they disagree with,
you're on a list.
Who've never committed an actual crime, never committed a felony, never committed a crime that's against the law of the land that they live in. And if you donate to the wrong person, they'll just shut down your whole thing. So you better have a separate account, and you better have an account not tied to the business that you do online or whatever. So, yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%.
No.
Yeah.
I don't believe the internet is a separate realm from the real world, and you can't do things anonymously in the real world and be taken seriously. You can't submit an anonymous thing to the news and be taken seriously. They're gonna be like, no, that's sus. We can't run it. They can't sit there. You can't anonymously do there's almost nothing you can do anonymously They don't even want to let you, like here
Yeah.
in Georgia, they're saying your vote's not even going to be anonymous anymore. You're not even going to have privacy in the voting booth. You're going to have as a matter of public record. I'm probably not going to vote, because like
Oh
as a
yeah, I
matter
mean
of
they're gonna
public
know.
record,
They're gonna know they're gonna know.
and they're going to publish
your
it, and they're going to
support.
think it,
Right,
and then they're going to publish
exactly.
it, and then anyone who has a vendetta against you and everything like that, whatever side of the aisle on, or whatever crusade they're on, or whatever cause they believe
No,
in,
at some
they're gonna,
point it's gonna become public information because
and
why
the thing
not?
is,
Because if you are on the right side, then why should you be ashamed of that being public information?
so 10 years from now, when you're at the peak of your life and your career, they're going to hold you accountable for some politician that you voted for
Yep.
on one thing they said that you've never heard them say, because who the hell is researching all that? Who the hell's got time like that that's not terminally online like a lunatic?
Terminally.
And yeah, like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and we know that they'll do it because again, they canceled. They canceled what's that? Scott Cawthorn, the guy who made Five Nights at Freddy's, the guy who makes a horror game about animatronics in a pizza shop. They canceled him for the crime of donating to Republicans.
Oh,
That's
really?
ridiculous.
I didn't know about that.
He donated to Republicans and Tulsi Gabbard, and they decide to extrapolate from that. Then, oh, these people all said these things, and I think that that's wrong and everything. So you must believe everything that the person you donated to said. You must believe everything this is like. It's like, okay, so do I believe in infidelity because I I think I was too young at the time, but like if I was old enough, it's like if I was old enough at the time, if I donated to Bill Clinton, I guess I condone cheating on your wife then. People are ridiculous. Again, you know me. I'm not that political of a person. What I am is I'm a person on the internet who can't escape this nonsense and all these lunatics. And all I want to do is just like go get a freaking island and leave the insanity behind about this nonsense, because I think everyone has been conditioned to be deranged now, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And by the way, that goes for both sides of the aisle. Have a collective of deranged people that are a collective of deranged people that are dividing our country.
Yeah.
And doing all kinds of nonsense. When we get to a
because
point,
they want to be right.
Because they want to be right. When you literally have 20-something people who are barely out of high school, you have 20-something-year-olds saying that I'm so scared about climate change that I'm going to go and deface paintings that are the pinnacle of representing the arts and humanities. The thing that people who are more liberal-minded are supposed to love is the arts and humanities. You're going to attack corporations by defacing the arts and humanities. That's the most ridiculous, most deranged thing I think I've ever heard in my life. And then to sit there and to
not to mention making it less accessible to other people,
less accessible to me
who are not elite.
Making for all the poor working class janitors, you're going to sit there as a spoiled 20-something-year-old college student and make work for a working class janitor by messing up a museum. And then claim moral high ground and pearl clutching and everything like that? No, you can find a way to be more proactive and more productive and a voice for your cause than sitting there making a mess that a janitor has to clean up when you decide to throw soup at a painting or pour out milk all over. There's a crisis right now with baby formula. There's people who can't feed their kids. You're going to sit there and you're going to pour milk all over an aisle in a grocery store as a protest and everything like that. And again, you're not going to clean it up. It's going to be a working class janitor making minimum wage that's going to clean it up. But you're going to sit there and you're going to talk about standing for vulnerable people. You're just a jackass at that point. Do something productive. I have no problem with people exercising their First Amendment, their right to protest, their right to organize. There are injustices in the world that should be fought. And you could do that by being proactive. You can actually invent solutions that make the world a better place, like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos.
And Roberto Blake and RedRomina.
Like Roberto Blake and RedRomina. You can also do a community cleanup. You can do things like Mr. Beast and do wonderful philanthropy and use a platform to be awareness without preaching to people and browbeating people. Who do you think has done more good in the world in the last 5 years? The collective of all activists or Mr. Beast? Mr. Beast has single-handedly, I think, done more for the world in the last 5 years than every activist combined. I swear to God.
Guys, if you want to be productive and you want to make the world a better place, then please give this a thumbs up if you are listening to us on YouTube, because I see the thumbs up button and it's not matching the viewers that are in here watching us live. I'm calling you out.
Bruh.
Hit that thumbs up. Because it makes me happy and it makes the world a better place.
I believe in making the world a better place. I think that people should clean up their. I think that people are sitting there and they're on Twitter. I
I
think
think
everyone's
it's
to
I think what it is,
clean up their
Roberto,
local lake. Everyone should
is
clean up their local lake.
I think what it is people it's so much easier to place the blame on somebody else than it is to take action and clean
Mhm,
up after somebody else's mess.
mhm.
Um, and I think it's hard for people, for example, like just cleaning up, like literally cleaning up somebody's mess at a beach or park.
Yeah.
It makes it hard for people to accept to do
Well, they
that
also
because
don't
they
get
didn't.
attention.
Right. And I think that maybe encouraging that behavior in a small way is better than blaming someone larger than you, uh, for messing it up in the first place. Not that I don't believe in accountability, but I think that it's important to also just step up and make the space that you want, create the space that you want.
I wish we had less activism and more good citizenship, if I'm being honest. I would love to see a revival of the citizens movement to
Oh,
things
yeah.
like community
Mhm.
cleanup,
Yeah.
community watches,
Yeah.
people building community centers, people supporting their local libraries,
Well, you
people
know why
supporting
we
their
don't
local
have
libraries.
that? The reason that we don't have that is because we now have public services, is because we've delegated those responsibilities to the government, that's why. That's why we
I
don't have
think
those things,
I
because we
think
aren't
we don't have
responsible for them
accountability
being.
because regular people aren't responsible for themselves anymore. I agree with you. I
Yeah.
agree with you that if regular people were responsible for themselves in the communities, they're always looking to outsource these problems. I agree
Mm.
with you. Outsourcing these problems is why there's no accountability in the world.
Yeah.
Like that's the real truth. That's the real truth. There are so many communities where I do see this exist and where I see this happen. There's like cultural enclaves where I see this happen, and they have the best and the most wholesome communities, and they have a good life, and it's amazing. And everybody should be somewhat like envious of that and should look at, well, okay, it can be done well and it can be done right, and we can have these things. I mean, if you actually have good citizenship, I mean, if you have real good citizenship and you have people who know their neighbors and people know who each other are and people come together as a community, you're not going to have
Mhm.
kids fall by the wayside nearly as much anymore, right? They're going to be safe. They're going to be protected. There's like when people are like, hey, when like people knowing that you didn't get home or like, hey, you normally are outside in the yard by now, or you are normally or get off the bus by now. Where are you at? Like, there's no one to question it when people like we never used to have a society
Mm.
where people could go missing indefinitely and nobody knows, or where people just disappear like that in the same and not the same frequency, or where people
Right.
die alone in their homes and nobody checks on them. That's a more recent phenomenon in the
Mhm.
last 10 years than it used to be the entire time I was growing up. The entire time I was growing up in the 90s and even the early 2000s, like that was not something that was normal. It's been normalized and it's a shame. And like I said, I think when you have a world where
Mm.
normal broke people spend more time in Twitter than they do in their own neighborhood, in their own community, when they are closer to all these like people. And yeah, there's something we said for finding like-minded people and finding your tribe or people who accept you on the internet, and I don't take anything away from that. We did that. But at the same time, I am getting to know, especially now that the pandemic's over. Now that I moved to this new house, this new community, I'm getting to know the people in my community. I go to my local restaurants. I do that. And the thing is, people are starting to get to know me. I'm starting to get to know them. I'm starting to really know my neighbors and like my neighbors. And I think it's important to have that. And I think
Yeah.
that, those kind of things are important. We go to the recycling center. We donate clothing to the different drop-offs. We don't do just one location. We do the multiple drop-offs so that we can spread things around a little bit.
Yeah.
We go to the local Goodwill, and the people are getting to know us, and we're getting to know them, and we're getting to see these people, and like those connections that were lost during the pandemic actually matter. And so
Mhm.
when there are things and it's like, oh, hey, there's going to be a community cleanup, or hey, there's going to be an event in the park to raise money for the local kids or something like that. Up the street, there's a YMCA. We have a YMCA. We
Yeah.
have there's a lending library. Take a book, lend a book. I donated multiple copies of my book
Mhm.
to the lending library at the YMCA. I'm donating several books to the libraries in my local town and also in the surrounding towns. And I'm going to go downtown and donate to the 3 libraries down there.
Oh, you
Um,
should put it in the little tiny library. You know what I'm talking about? The little ones, like the little houses that are on the
Mm,
post.
mm.
There's like a couple of
That's
them.
no, we have that with that's the
There's like
one
at
locally.
random locations, like on the street. Um, but yeah, I think that's a really good point in terms of like people kind of just dying or disappearing. Michael kind of added
Yeah,
to it. Like if it wasn't for somebody coming to collect rent, that they might not even notice that they've passed away,
yeah.
which I think is an interesting thing,
If everyone
considering.
does fix their home or their community, even the people who can't, all right, if the
Mhm.
people who can't, if the 10 people around you fix themselves, they'd have the room to help you if they can't.
Right.
So if everybody who can work on themselves did work on themselves, if
Mhm.
everyone who can do for themselves did for themselves, if everybody who can put their affairs in order did put their
Yeah.
affairs in order, they'd all of a sudden have all this spare energy. And then the thing is, they'd be able to look at the people around them who can't,
Mhm.
and they might be the one because they're immediately right there. There's no reallocation of the resources as mandate right then because the community could step up because it's like it does zero to hurt them because their own position is stable at that point. So if everyone fixes their own stuff, they got plenty of room to help someone else. And the thing is, not enough people who can fix themselves or and won't admit that they need to fix themselves will
Yeah.
do it. And
I mean,
because it's because they can
there's
pass the
people had
buck.
there's people who will put in more money, more energy, and more time into their pets than themselves,
Oh my
which
God.
says a lot about the state that people are in. When you spend thousands of dollars to give your pet medication before yourself, that's I mean,
When you spend all this money to take care of your pet, but you won't pop for a gym membership.
precisely.
Like, right.
When you need it. I
Some
mean,
people's
like,
pets eat better than them. They eat the gourmet version of the pet
yeah,
food,
and
and
that's the
then they
thing.
eat McDonald's. They eat trash. They
Right,
feed
yeah.
themselves trash, but they feed their pet the gourmet version of the most expensive brand of pet food, and they give
Right.
themselves the cheapest meal possible, and
Mhm.
they justify it somehow, some way, or God forbid, somehow they manage to afford a pet, but not afford toiletries to take care of their hygiene. They
Yeah.
somehow manage to afford and pamper and shower this pet, and they got time for their vices. They got time for all their vices, but they can't do anything to better themselves. That's absurd. This is something that people need to be held truly responsible for, is for taking better care of themselves. And that's not a being hard on people. That's like, I think that's a loving message to say. It's like, what happened to you and what happened to build a society where people refuse to value themselves enough to take better care.
Mhm.
I mean, my God.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's something that we can dive into in a future episode,
Yeah.
self-care.
Yeah, like real self-care, not the scam of self-care sold by the corporations. Like, that's a good topic. That's a good way to mix topics there. Because, like, yeah, I think that the thing is, I think there is something to be said for that. I think that people were sold a scam of self-care during the pandemic, when the thing is, real self-care cost very little. Real self-care cost very little.
Wait a minute, there's insurance, there's health insurance for pets?
Yes. Yes, there is.
Uh, how much does that cost?
It depends. It depends. But it's cheaper than humans, I will tell you that, obviously. But yeah, like maybe $50 or something. Per pet. Like $50 per pet. But it's also like, again, like it's almost like having to, like, when you have to pay a security deposit for a pet if you rent
Sure.
versus own. So it's like, what I'd say is, I know it's not considered a positive like thing, or that there are people
Mhm.
who it's attributed to, but here's the thing. I
Yeah.
learned for myself firsthand, but I always knew this because I did it and try. So when I was in high school, I was mad depressed. Like, what got me through high school? I constantly talk about it.
Mm.
My track team and cross country team and my track and cross country coach. That got me through my depression in high school and my suicidal ideation, because by being part of a team, I had a group of people. If everyone in the school didn't like and respect me, I had people, and even if the people on my team didn't always like me, they always respected me, and we always had the camaraderie, and we always pushed each other. So I had that. I had my coach; he was looking out for me, so I had that. In terms of having, a male model, role model, not, I wouldn't call him a role model, but just even like a leader, somebody who embodied leadership and discipline and accountability, someone to hold me accountable and somebody to call out my BS and someone to make me work hard. And that's helpful, you know? My mom was very grateful for my track coach in that regard. You know, so I think that it sounds horrible to say to some people, but they'd realize that a lot of their problems, even a lot of their mental health problems, can be solved by addressing their physical health problems in terms of working out and eating well. Working out, eating well, hydrating, getting enough sleep. If you were doing physical, strenuous activity every single day for 30 minutes, drinking water and hydrating and having regular, I mean, this sounds nasty, but it's like if you were having regular and good bowel movements and not dehydrated and, you know what I'm talking about. Like if you were eating well, hydrating, you know, your bowel movements are clean, all those things, those signs of good kidneys and gut health.
Right.
If you are taking care and hydrating, you're taking care of your vital organs by hydrating, you're eating good food, you're eating enough greens to get the nutrients and to also clean and cleanse your gut. And if you're doing strenuous activity to where you sweat and you do that for 30 minutes, you're getting oxygen, blood circulation, and putting that in. And you were doing that every day. You would find over a period of time that, and also sleeping your 6 to 8 hours. If you were doing that consistently and not deviating from that in life as a minimum requirement for you in life, you will find that your depression, your anxiety, if it doesn't disappear, it's reduced greatly. Cut in half, cut 75%, cut 80%. I swear to you, I'm not saying that there's no such thing as clinical depression, no such thing as clinical mental illness, no such thing as clinical mental disorders. But do you really think that they're not overprescribed and misdiagnosed and overdiagnosed? And don't you think that there's a lot of money in the insurance industry? Not going conspiracoid, but think about it. Do you really think that the insurance agencies and the pharmaceutical companies and big commerce and big grocery stores and shopping, do you really think that you being healthy and living a healthy life is in the best interest of their financial viability?
No.
Probably not. Probably not.
Andrew brought up a good point in the chat. It's something that I apply for myself too. It's an easy one, which is a glass of water to match each glass of whatever else you're drinking. So if you're drinking a glass of Coke, drink a glass of water to match at the same time, or if it's alcohol, drink the same. I do the same
$8
thing
in your life. Get yourself an emotional support.
Emotional support. What is that? What are those little labels on there?
Get yourself an emotional support water bottle.
Can you read us what's on there? What does that say? Read us some of those.
Ready to go. Have some more. Keep drinking. Halfway. Bravo. Keep it up. You're getting there. And the last one is you got it. Yes. So this is an emotional support water bottle. It's like if drinking water and staying hydrated feels like a chore for you, this water bottle is your cheerleader. This is the best $8 you will spend in your life on Amazon. Wow. You're welcome.
I have a glass bottle, and I keep an eye on it, and I see what the levels are, and if the levels aren't going down, then that means that I'm not drinking enough water. It's just a really good advice. But we should probably start wrapping up. And then maybe we could talk about self-care some other time, maybe next week, maybe some other time in the near future. I wrote it down, so it'll definitely be coming up.
Sure. Yeah, no, I do think that's kind of like a good place to bookmark it. So I guess our consensus here is yay Elon and pay the Twitter tax.
Yay Elon, and probably not much will change.
Probably. I think some things will.
Well, for the worse. I think
things will get better. I think some things will get better. Well, things will get better for you and me because we curate our feeds.
Right.
So it's fine. And that's all that matters. At the end of the day, all that matters is that Twitter will get better for you and me if a bunch of people leave, and if people don't want to pay the Twitter tax and we clean up our feeds, Twitter gets better for you and me. And if they start paying creators, Twitter gets better for you and me tomorrow. And that's all that really matters.
Hey man, it's a free country. If you don't want to be on Twitter, you don't got to be on Twitter.
It's probably in your best interest to not be on Twitter if you're not making money. If you're not making money, there's not really like I've never really understood why someone who's not trying to build their career or
Right.
build their brand or
Or
make
network.
money or network. I've never understood why a broke person not trying to do those things would be on Twitter or Instagram. I do not know what value it adds to your life at all, if I'm being perfectly honest, because all you're going to do is see a bunch of people who have more stuff than you. Like, I do not understand the value if you're not trying to better yourself. I think you need to be on Twitter or Instagram specifically. I think that if you want a purely entertainment escapist platform, the best one is YouTube. But I don't think you need to be on that. And I don't think TikTok's healthy for anybody. So like, nope. I think the only real platform of value to people who are not trying to extract something in terms of bettering themselves, building a network, monetizing, whatever. I think if you're not building a brand or a business, or you're not an artist or whatever, I'm like, maybe you don't need to be on Instagram. Maybe don't, like Facebook and YouTube might be it. Because I see Facebook because you're like your family, friends, and whatever. And it's easy to keep in touch with people from high school or college or whatever. So like, I just like feel that Twitter and Instagram are useless to normal people. So we'll leave it there. Thank you for listening to No Salary Required Podcast, a podcast about nothing. Tune in next week when we have another exciting topic for you and where we try to make the world a better place. This has been your duo of hosts signing off. Romina from the Star Trek Enterprise and Roberto, the Dark Lord from his lair. We'll catch you next time. Nop.